Hey guys, welcome in. Eric from Blaze. And today we have something special. We're gonna set up our DSP for a cafe. So I'm gonna show you how easy it is and how simple it is to set up a simple system. So let's dive into it and let's take a look at what we're actually working with from a application perspective, right? So we have a cafe, we have 4 zones. We have a main floor, we have a stage, we have a bar, and we have a restrooms. So a simple background music scenario, 70 volt, really easy, really clean. All right. So in this case, we need 4 zones of 70 volt, right? So I have a Power Zone Connect 508, 8-channel unit. This can more than handle that. Excellent. We also have a Wall S1 single zone controller. This is gonna be controlling our bar. So we're gonna give the bartenders some love and give them some volume control over their little zone there. And then finally, we have an iPhone here that's gonna be running some music into analogs input 1 and 2 via RCA. Now what you don't see is the PoE switch that I have connected to the Wall S1, which is getting power and network, and then our 508, right, which is getting network control. So we're good to go. Other than, obviously, our speaker lines are not connected, but just imagine 4 separate runs here going to each one of our zones, right? Our main floor, our stage, our bar, and our restrooms. So let's dive into the DSP, shall we? Now, what I did here for you guys was I defaulted everything, right? So this is an out-of-the-box experience, sort of recreating how you would actually set this up if you were to open one of these up and connect them to the network, right? So in the left-hand column, you see our devices. In this case, we're using one Power Zone Connect 508, right? And we have our single Wall S1, the exact hardware that I showed. I am running Power Zone Control Center. This is on a Mac. You can also run it on a PC. The good thing about Control Center is that if you're using more than one device, you can see every single device in a single screen or a single display, right? Makes life so much easier. You can also update every single unit in the system via one click, right? So if an update was needed, you would see update required, you would click a button. If 100 units need to get updated at one time, you can actually do that with a single click. Super, super easy and super intuitive. All right, so we're good to go. Let's go ahead and begin this. I guess we can start the clock, yeah? All right, cool, let's do it. Boom. So the first thing I like to do is actually name our devices, right? So I'm gonna click on Settings, System Information. I'm going to remove all of these numbers here at the end and just simply call it Blaze PZC 508. And there you go, changes in real time. Now let's go ahead and name, or actually pair and name our Wall S1, okay? So we're gonna click on External Devices, click on Pair. Boom, device is paired, love it. Click on the actual device and we'll name it Bar. Okay, because that's actually where we're gonna, this is where it's physically gonna live, and then we're gonna give our bartenders control over that location. Click Apply, and you can see it update in real time. Now we have a bar controller in our device list. Awesome. Okay, cool. Now I did mention it is a 70 volt system, so I'm gonna skip a couple steps in terms of the linear flow here and go to output, click on speaker preset and go to output mode, right? Again, I said this was a high Z 70 volt scenario, so I wanna make sure I apply that impedance to each one of our outputs, right? So for outputs 1, high Z 70 volt, boom. Output 3, high Z 70 volt, boom. Output 5, high Z 70 volt, and output 7, high Z 70 volt. So all of those outputs are now on 70V, combining those to get the power we need, and now we can continue our setup. Cool. So let's go up to dashboard. The dashboard, I'm not gonna dive too deep into, but this is your overall level of maintenance for the entire system, where you can see power information, signal information, all that fun stuff. We'll come back to this once we actually set it up, and we'll make sure that everything is running okay. So let's now set up our inputs. So like I stated previously, we have an iPhone, right? I'm gonna call it iPhone. Just name it right here, boom. This is a stereo source, so I'm gonna click on mono, this mono button right here, and now we have a stereo signal. I don't have signal running yet. I'm gonna do that last, where we can actually set levels and things like that. But let's continue on. I'm gonna leave it at defaulted +4. It's a line level signal. I might need a boost. I could drop it to -10, but in most cases for line level, this is totally fine. We can gain stage at this point, right? We're going to come back to that in just a moment, and we can also set up EQs. It's an 8-channel unit, so because it's 8-channel, we also have 8 inputs from an analog perspective. I'm on analog here, okay, up top, and you can actually view all of your analog inputs from this single display. Okay, you also can see your SPDIF, right, your digital, your mix buses. Again, an 8-channel unit gives you the option to set up 8 separate mix buses, which is really, really cool. And then a sound generator for configuration and maintenance. If this was a Dante unit, you would also see Dante available right up top. Excellent. So let's continue on. Here's our zone scenario, and we're going to name our zones at this point. Let me just go back to the deck to make sure we have our zone names remembered at this point. So we have our main floor, our stage, our bar, and our restrooms. So let's go ahead and set those up. So our main floor, and then we have our bar, our stage, right? And finally, our restrooms. Excellent. Now, the primary input for each one of these zones is going to be the iPhone. So I just want to make sure I have those selected. iPhone stereo, great. That's for the main floor. For the bar, we have iPhone stereo, fantastic. We want to make sure this is assigned to iPhone stereo, which we just did by clicking on primary input. And then D also, iPhone stereo. That is all good to go. And at this point, you can also set a priority, right? So if it's a paging system or an emergency override that needs to come in where you have to kill the audio, yet still utilize the amplifier, you can also set that up here. And there's a ducking scenario or option as well. So this is really neat. What I want to do here actually is I want to set a restriction on the bar. So essentially, I do not want the bartenders to go above, let's say, 17.8 dB, right? So if I were to actually adjust the zone volume, I cannot go above negative 17.8 dB, right? Boom. So the bartenders have some, we don't want them to override or overdrive the system at the end of the day. We also have restrictions for the input. And in this case, we only have one. So we want to avoid them mistakenly selecting an input and actually shutting down the system in the bar. So we're going to actually turn all of these off and only have the option to select the iPhone as the source. Beautiful. Perfect. And we can do the same with the digital. We'll go ahead and do that real quick. Turn those mixes off. Boom, 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 boom. All right, cool. And it only took a couple seconds. And then we can add compression. I'm not going to do compression on the input stage. We're good to go. Let's proceed and let's go to outputs. So now these are the physical outputs on the back of the unit. This is actually the amp stage at this point. And what I want to make sure is that each zone or each physical output is feeding that specific zone at this point. So for output 1, we have the main floor. That's perfect. For output 3, actually, we want to use the bar at this point. This is good. This actual output is going to run to the bar itself. 5, we're going to do the stage, and then 7, we're going to do the restrooms. So it's good at that point. Perfect. Excellent. Now let's go back to the dashboard and let's start feeding signal into the system. So I'm going to go ahead and actually feed audio at this point, and you'll start seeing some VUs. There you go. Beautiful. And good. So we have signal. Let's proceed to the input stage. And you could see here that the input is almost perfect, at least for me. It's almost hitting 0 dB. I really don't have to do anything at this point. But just to show you guys, if you wanted to bring down that sensitivity, you could do it, like plus 14. But like I said, out of the box for line level, plus 4 dBu is typically okay. So we're good at this point. If you want to gain stage it, you can do it. So let's say, the volume on the source is set okay. I want to bring it up a bit more. I can do that, but I'm going to keep it at 0 at this point. I think we're good. And then EQ, if, for example, there was a microphone coming in and I wanted to throw a high pass on, I could also do that by just clicking the filter type, throw a high pass, and boom, you're good to go. But it's line level, full range audio, music. I'm going to turn it off, and we're going to proceed. So at this point, my input signal is good, all good. And let's move on to the zone stage here. So at this point, I want to make sure that each zone is getting the correct input, right? So I have zone A, which is our main floor. We have the iPhone, we're good. Let's check B, iPhone stereo. You can see signal coming in. This is our bar, remember, we're good to go. iPhone C, iPhone stereo, and then for zone D, which is the restroom, we also have iPhone stereo. So those are all set. Signal is coming through the system, which is fantastic. I am going to raise up the zone level of this. So this is the actual volume that is controllable from the end user perspective in the zone module. I'm going to bring up the main for to -12. I'm going to bring up the bar to the max, or the restriction that we set, to -17.8. C, which is the stage, we'll also bring that to -12, and we'll just leave restrooms as is. All good, right? We talked about these other options on the zone stage. Let's go over to output. So this is, again, the physical amplifier, or the physical outputs, the amplifier stage, or the output stage on the unit itself, right? So right now we're all set to 0 dB, 1, 3, 5, and 7. I'm gonna keep those as is. No issues there. With the delay settings, you can also get deep, right? But again, for a background system like this, we're good. We're good to go. You can EQ each individual output at this point, and then also add speaker presets. Now this is where it gets super intuitive. If it was a CI series system, right? We have presets for all of our loudspeakers. All you have to do is import that file and you're good to go. For background music, it may be all you need, right? It may be all you need. Last but not least, we want to actually set up our wall controller, or assign it or give control to the bartenders for that specific zone. So let's go to settings, external devices, click on the bar, and then make sure the zone is assigned, physically assigned to that specific zone. So in our case, it's the bar. We select bar, click apply, and then you're good to go, right? So if I go to dashboard and I go to my bar and I begin to move my wall S1, which I'll show you in a moment, you can see that the bartenders now have full control, which is excellent. And I'll bring up the screen here so you can see the hardware. Yep, as I move this, bartenders have full control of their system. They're happy, we're happy, fantastic, and then we're good to go. It's super intuitive, it's an amazing system, it's that easy to use. You don't have to get crazy deep if you don't want to. So the accessibility features are just unbelievable. I mean, you can learn this in under 10 minutes, have a system going in 5 minutes, you know, for a commercial 70-volt system, and then get really deep. You know, if you're going into performance, houses of worship, things like that, live sound scenarios, it's all there. It's all under the hood, but you don't have to. You don't have to, but if you want to, you can. So guys, thanks for joining. If you want to learn more about the DSP, we have YouTube videos on our LinkedIn, also on our YouTube, and on our website under the support page, where you can learn more about this system and dive deeper. Of course, we have intensive training or deeper training that we can also schedule. But if you have any questions, reach out to us. We'd love to chat. And yeah, thanks for using this, and we'll see you next time. Take care.